Jake Harrison stared at the glowing screen in his small ship's cockpit. The contract details made no sense. Someone wanted to pay him 3 times his usual rate to check out Luna Base 7, a research station that had gone quiet 3 years ago. The client's message was short and simple. Go there, look around, report back what he found. No questions about salvage rights or recovery operations. Just look and report. Jake had been a salvage operator for 12 years ever since leaving the military. He knew when a job felt wrong. This one felt very wrong. But the money was real and his ship needed new engines. The Wanderer was getting old, just like him. He checked his instruments as the moon grew larger in his viewport. Luna Base 7 sat on the dark side of the moon in a crater that never saw sunlight. The base had been built there to study deep space without interference from Earth's radio signals. 23 scientists and support staff had lived there, doing research Jake never really understood. The base looked normal from space. Solar panels caught the distant sunlight and glowed softly. The main habitat dome sat in the center of the crater like a metal bubble. Smaller buildings surrounded it, connected by covered walkways. Everything looked exactly like it should except for the silence. Jake tried the radio again. Luna Base 7, this is salvage vessel Wanderer requesting permission to dock. Nothing but static answered him. He had been trying to reach them for the last hour as he approached. The docking bay doors stood open, which was strange. Nobody left docking bays open in space. It was too dangerous. Jake guided his ship through the opening and felt the familiar thump as the magnetic clamps locked onto his hull. Atmosphere readings showed the bay had air and normal pressure. Jake put on his environment suit anyway. 12 years of salvage work had taught him to trust his equipment more than readings on a screen. He checked his air supply, tested his radio, and made sure his cutting tools were charged. Whatever had happened here, he wanted to be ready for anything. The airlock cycled normally. Jake stepped into Luna Base 7 and immediately knew something was very wrong. The lights were on. The air recyclers hummed quietly, but the place felt empty in a way that made his skin crawl. The main corridor stretched ahead of him, lined with doors leading to laboratories and living quarters. Personal items lay scattered on the floor. A child's toy spaceship sat abandoned near a bench. Someone had dropped a cup of coffee, and the dried stain still marked the floor where it had spilled. Jake walked slowly through the base, his boots echoing in the empty halls. In the cafeteria, plates of food sat on tables covered in mold. Someone had been eating when they left. The food looked like it had been sitting there for weeks, not years. The living quarters told the same story. Beds were unmade. Clothes hung in closets. Family pictures sat on desks next to personal computers that still glowed with screensavers. It looked like everyone had just stepped out for a moment and never come back. Jake found the first clue in Dr. Helen Carter's office. She had been the chief scientist according to the base directory. Her desk was neat except for one thing. A research journal lay open, pages scattered around it as if someone had been reading in a hurry. Jake picked up the journal and read the last few entries. Dr. Carter wrote about a discovery in the mining section, something they had found while digging for ice. She called it the most important find in human history, but didn't explain what it was. The entries got more excited as Jake read on. Dr. Carter wrote about breakthrough discoveries and new technology. She mentioned something called Project Starbound several times, but never explained what it was. The final entry was dated 3 years ago, just before the base went silent. We're moving the work to the underground facility, the final entry said. The surface lab isn't secure enough for what we're doing. If anyone reads this, look for the hidden elevator in Maintenance Section C. Tell them Helen sent you. Jake closed the journal and looked around the office again. Hidden elevator in Maintenance Section C. That wasn't on any of the base blueprints he had studied before coming here. He found Maintenance Section C in the lower level of the base. It looked like any other maintenance area, full of pipes and electrical panels and the machinery that kept the base running. But Jake noticed something odd about one wall. The metal panels didn't quite line up right, as if they had been installed to hide something. Jake ran his hands along the wall until he found a hidden switch. The panel slid aside with a soft hiss, revealing an elevator shaft that dropped down into darkness. This elevator wasn't on any blueprint Jake had ever seen. It looked new, like it had been built recently. The elevator worked when Jake pressed the call button. The doors opened to show a small car that looked like it could carry 4 people. There was only one button inside labeled Deep Lab in handwritten letters. Jake hesitated. Going down into an unknown tunnel under the lunar surface was dangerous. If something went wrong, nobody would ever find him. But the mystery of the missing colonist was down there, and Jake had always been curious about mysteries. He pressed the button. The elevator dropped for a long time. Much longer than Jake expected. The base was only supposed to be 3 levels deep, but this elevator kept going down for several minutes. When it finally stopped, Jake was far beneath the lunar surface. The doors opened to show a corridor that stretched into the distance. This wasn't part of Luna Base 7. This was something else entirely. The walls were made of lunar rock that had been melted and reformed into smooth surfaces. Lights embedded in the ceiling glowed with a soft blue radiance that Jake had never seen before. Jake stepped out of the elevator and immediately felt that he was walking into something bigger than a simple salvage job. The air down here smelled different, charged with energy like the air before a thunderstorm. His instruments detected no danger, but every instinct told him he was in a place where humans weren't supposed to be. The corridor ahead of him curved out of sight, leading deeper into whatever the colonists had built beneath Luna Base 7. Jake walked down the strange corridor, his footsteps echoing off the smooth walls. The blue lights in the ceiling pulsed gently like a slow heartbeat. After 10 minutes of walking, the corridor opened into a vast chamber that took his breath away. The room was enormous, carved directly from the lunar rock. It stretched further than Jake could see in the dim light. Machinery filled the space, but not like any machinery Jake had ever seen. Some pieces looked familiar, like computer terminals and fabrication equipment, but other devices were completely alien, made of materials that seemed to glow with their own inner light. Jake approached the nearest workstation and found it was still active. The screen showed complex diagrams that hurt his eyes to look at. Mathematical equations filled the displays, but the numbers and symbols were unlike anything from human science. Someone had been working here recently. The coffee cup next to the keyboard was still warm. A sound made Jake turn around quickly. Footsteps echoed from another corridor leading into the chamber. Jake drew his plasma cutter and called out, "Hello? Is someone there?" An older woman emerged from the shadows. She was small and thin, with gray hair pulled back in a ponytail. Her clothes were dirty and torn like she had been living rough for a long time, but her eyes were bright and intelligent. "You must be the salvage operator," she said. "Helen Carter told us someone would come eventually." Jake lowered his weapon but kept it ready. "Dr. Carter? I found her journal upstairs. Are you one of the colonists?" The woman nodded. "I'm Dr. Patricia Williams. I was Dr. Carter's assistant. We've been waiting down here for 3 years hoping someone would find us." "Waiting for what? What happened to everyone else?" Dr. Williams gestured for Jake to follow her deeper into the chamber. "It's complicated. We found something, Jake. Something that changed everything we thought we knew about the universe." They walked past more strange machinery. Jake saw fabrication units building components from materials he couldn't identify. Assembly robots worked on devices that looked like they belonged in a science fiction movie. Everything was working automatically, as if it had been running for years without human supervision. 3.5 years ago, we were mining ice from the crater floor, Dr. Williams explained. "Standard operation, nothing unusual. But our excavation hit something metallic about 50 meters down. At first we thought it was an old spacecraft that had crashed on the moon millions of years ago." Jake examined a half-built device that looked like it might be some kind of engine. The metal was unlike anything he had seen before. It felt warm to the touch and seemed to vibrate slightly, as if energy was flowing through it. But it wasn't a spacecraft, Dr. Williams continued. It was something much stranger. A crystalline artifact about the size of a person, but weighing almost nothing. When we brought it to the surface and began studying it, something incredible happened. They reached another workstation where Dr. Williams activated a large display screen. Images appeared showing the artifact she had described. It looked like a crystal sculpture, but one that twisted and folded in ways that seemed impossible. The surface was covered in patterns that shifted and changed as Jake watched. "The artifact began transmitting information directly into our computers," Dr. Williams said. "Not radio signals or data streams, but pure knowledge. Mathematical principles, scientific theories, technological specifications. It was teaching us." Jake studied the images on the screen. "Teaching you what?" "How to travel faster than light. How to manipulate gravity. How to build machines that work with quantum energy instead of simple electricity. The artifact contained the complete technological knowledge of a civilization far more advanced than ours. Dr. Williams brought up new images showing construction blueprints. Jake recognized some of the designs from the machinery around them, but other plans were for devices he couldn't even begin to understand. Dr. Carter realized immediately how dangerous this knowledge could be. Dr. Williams continued, "If we brought it back to Earth, governments and corporations would fight wars over it. The technology was too powerful to trust to politicians and businessmen." Jake was beginning to understand. "So you decided to keep it secret. More than that, we decided to use it responsibly." The artifact showed us star charts, Jake. Maps of thousands of habitable worlds in other galaxies. We realized we had the chance to give humanity a new future among the stars, but only if we did it right. They moved to another section of the chamber where Jake saw something that made him stop walking. A massive construction project filled the far end of the space. It looked like the hull of a spacecraft, but one built on a scale Jake had never imagined. The ship stretched into the darkness beyond the reach of the lights. "We've been building it for 3 years," Dr. Williams said proudly. "Humanity's first true interstellar vessel. Not just faster than light, but capable of traveling between galaxies. The artifact gave us everything we needed to know." Jake approached the ship's hull. Like everything else in this place, it was made from materials that seemed to generate their own energy. The metal was smooth and warm, and Jake could feel a slight vibration running through it. "Where is everyone else?" Jake asked. "The other colonists?" Dr. Williams smiled sadly. "Gone to the stars. We built smaller ships first, test vessels to make sure the technology worked safely. When we were confident, most of the team volunteered to explore the galaxy and make contact with other civilizations. They left me and 2 others behind to finish the main ship and wait for someone worthy to find us." "Worthy?" "The artifact didn't just give us technology, Jake, it tested us. Made sure we understood the responsibility that comes with such power. We learned that the civilization that created it seeded artifacts like this throughout the galaxy, waiting for younger species to prove they could handle advanced technology without destroying themselves." Jake looked around the chamber with new understanding. This wasn't just a construction project. It was humanity's graduation test. "The others who stayed behind," Jake asked. "Where are they?" Dr. Williams pointed toward another corridor. "Dr. Martinez is working on the navigation systems. Dr. Kim is in the power core chamber, making final adjustments to the quantum reactor. We've been taking shifts for 3 years, making sure someone was always here when you arrived." "When I arrived." "How did you know I was coming?" "We didn't know it would be you specifically, but we knew someone would come eventually. Someone curious enough and brave enough to investigate what happened to us. Someone who could make the choice we've been preparing for." Jake felt a chill that had nothing to do with the underground chamber's temperature. "What choice?" Dr. Williams led Jake toward the massive ship that dominated the far end of the chamber. As they got closer, Jake realized the vessel was even larger than he had first thought. The hull stretched upward into darkness, disappearing beyond the reach of the overhead lights. It had to be at least 2 kilometers long. "The choice about what happens next," Dr. Williams said, answering his earlier question. "We couldn't make it ourselves. We were too close to the project, too invested in what we had built. We needed someone from outside, someone who could see clearly." They reached an opening in the ship's hull where a boarding ramp led inside. Jake hesitated at the bottom of the ramp. Everything about this situation felt dangerous. He was far beneath the lunar surface with 3 scientists who had been living in isolation for years, looking at technology that shouldn't exist. "What's inside?" Jake asked. "See for yourself," Dr. Williams said. Jake climbed the ramp and stepped into the ship. The interior was as impressive as the exterior. Corridors stretched in both directions, lined with panels that glowed softly with the same blue light he had seen throughout the underground facility. The air smelled clean and fresh, like a forest after rain. Dr. Williams guided him through several corridors to what appeared to be the ship's bridge. The room was circular, with a raised platform in the center surrounded by control stations. Large view screens covered the walls, currently showing star charts and technical displays that Jake couldn't read. "The ship is called Horizon's Edge," Dr. Williams said. "It's fully operational and ready for its first voyage. The quantum drive can travel anywhere in the galaxy in a matter of days, and beyond the galaxy in a few weeks." Jake approached one of the control stations. The interface looked partly familiar, with some controls that resembled those on his own ship. But other elements were completely alien, crystalline structures that pulsed with energy and responded to touch in ways that seemed almost alive. "How do you control it?" Jake asked. "The ship has an artificial intelligence system based on the alien technology," Dr. Williams explained. "It's not just a computer program. It's something closer to a living mind, created from patterns the artifact taught us." As if responding to her words, one of the displays flickered to life. A voice spoke from speakers around the bridge, calm and measured but somehow warm at the same time. "Welcome aboard, Jake Harrison. I am Newton, the ship's intelligence. I have been waiting to meet you." Jake stepped back from the control panel. "It knows my name?" "Newton has been monitoring communications from Earth," Dr. Williams explained. "He's been studying human society, trying to understand whether our species is ready for the responsibility of interstellar travel." "And what have you concluded?" Jake asked, addressing the voice directly. "That humans have great potential," Newton replied, "but also great capacity for both creation and destruction. The decision about how to use this ship's capabilities cannot be made lightly." The main view screen changed to show images of Earth from space. Jake saw the blue and white globe hanging in the darkness, beautiful and fragile. "If this ship and its technology were revealed to Earth now," Newton continued, "what do you think would happen?" Jake thought about it. He had served in the military. He knew how governments thought about new weapons and new advantages over their enemies. "Wars," Jake said finally. "Every nation would want to control it. They would fight over it until someone destroyed it or everyone destroyed each other." That was Dr. Carter's conclusion as well, Newton said. She believed humanity needed time to mature before it could handle such power responsibly. The view screen changed again, showing star charts marked with dozens of colored points. Jake realized he was looking at a map of explored space, but on a scale that included other galaxies. "The other colonists are here," Newton said, highlighting several points on the map. "They have established contact with 17 different alien civilizations. All peaceful species who have passed similar tests and earned the trust of the Builders." "The Builders?" "The species that created the artifacts," Dr. Williams explained. "They disappeared from this galaxy millions of years ago, but they left tests behind for younger species to find. When a species proves it can use advanced technology without destroying itself or others, it's welcomed into a larger community." Jake studied the star map. Each highlighted point represented a human outpost among the stars, places where his species had already taken its first steps into the galaxy. "So humans are already out there?" "A few," Newton said. "Explorers and scientists, not conquerors. They're learning about the galaxy and building relationships with other species. But they're cut off from Earth, waiting for the day when humanity as a whole is ready to join the galactic community." The view screen showed images of human settlements on alien worlds. Jake saw colonists working alongside strange but clearly intelligent beings, building cities under foreign stars. It was everything humanity had dreamed of for centuries. "This ship could change everything," Jake said. "Yes," Newton agreed. "The horizon's edge could carry thousands of people to new worlds, or it could carry weapons capable of destroying entire planets. The technology could end poverty and suffering on Earth, or it could enable the worst tyrants in human history to control the entire galaxy." Jake walked around the bridge, trying to process what he was seeing and hearing. The weight of the decision was enormous. He was just a salvage operator, not a leader or a politician. How could he possibly make a choice that would affect all of humanity? "Why me?" Jake asked. "Why not let the governments of Earth decide?" "Because governments think about power and control," Newton said. "We need someone who thinks about exploration and discovery. Someone who understands that the universe is vast enough for cooperation instead of conquest." Dr. Williams activated another display that showed Jake's own service record. His military career, his time as a salvage operator, even personal details about his life that he had never told anyone. "We've been studying you since your ship entered lunar orbit," she said. "Your psychological profile, your decision-making patterns, your moral reasoning. You're exactly the kind of person we've been hoping to find." "What kind of person is that?" "Someone who chose exploration over exploitation," Newton said. "Someone who left the military rather than fight in wars he didn't believe in. Someone who became a salvage operator to help people recover what they had lost, not to get rich from their misfortune." Jake looked at the star charts again, thinking about the choice ahead of him. He could take this ship and its technology back to Earth, becoming the most important person in human history. Or he could follow the path the other colonists had taken, leaving Earth behind to build something new among the stars. There's a third option, Newton said, as if reading his thoughts. You could destroy the ship and return to Earth with a story no one would believe. Some might consider that the safest choice for humanity. Jake hadn't considered that possibility, but it made sense. If the technology was too dangerous, perhaps it was better forgotten. But that would strand the colonists already exploring the galaxy, Dr. Williams said. They're depending on this ship to maintain contact with home and eventually bring more humans to join them. The weight of responsibility settled on Jake's shoulders like a heavy coat. Newton's voice filled the bridge again. Before you make your decision, Jake, I must conduct the final test. The view screens around the bridge went dark for a moment, then flickered back to life, showing a different scene. Jake found himself looking at what appeared to be a holographic simulation of a space station orbiting an unknown planet. This is not real, Newton explained, but it represents the kind of situation you might face if you choose to take the horizon's edge into space. Please watch carefully and tell me how you would respond. The simulation showed a human colony under attack by unknown ships. Jake could see explosions on the station's hull and escape pods launching into space. The attacking ships were clearly more advanced than anything humans had built, but less advanced than the horizon's edge. You arrive at this scene, Newton said. The attacking aliens have superior numbers but inferior technology. Your ship could easily destroy them all and save the colony. What do you do? Jake studied the simulation carefully. Something about it felt wrong. Can I communicate with the attackers? You can try. Then I would try to talk to them first. Find out why they're attacking before I start shooting. The simulation changed. Jake heard translated alien voices explaining their situation. The human colony had been built on a world sacred to their species, without permission or knowledge of the native inhabitants. The humans had refused all attempts at negotiation. Now what? Newton asked. Jake thought about it. The situation was more complicated than it first appeared. I would try to mediate between them, find a solution that works for everyone, maybe help relocate the colony to a different world. Even if the colonists refuse to leave and demand you protect them, then I would have to choose what's right over what's easy. I couldn't support colonists who were stealing someone else's sacred land. The simulation disappeared, replaced by another scenario. This time, Jake saw human ships approaching an alien world that appeared defenseless. The human commander was demanding surrender and threatening to bombard the planet's cities. Your species has found a world rich in resources they need, Newton explained. The aliens are peaceful but refuse to trade. The human fleet plans to take what they want by force. You could stop them, but it would mean firing on your own people. Jake felt sick looking at the scene. It was exactly the kind of situation he had feared when he left the military. I would stop them. I couldn't let them commit genocide for resources, even knowing it might make you an enemy of Earth's government. Yes. Newton presented several more scenarios, each one testing Jake's judgment in different ways. Situations involving first contact with hostile aliens, conflicts over rare technology, moral dilemmas about sharing advanced weapons with primitive species. In each case, Jake tried to choose cooperation over conflict, protection over exploitation. After the final simulation ended, Newton was quiet for several minutes. Jake waited, knowing his responses were being analyzed by an intelligence far superior to any human mind. You have passed the test, Newton finally said. Your moral reasoning aligns with the principles the builders hoped to find in emerging species. Dr. Williams smiled with relief. We weren't sure anyone would pass. Some of our colleagues thought humans might not be ready for this responsibility. What happens now? Jake asked. Newton brought up a new display showing detailed star charts. Now you must choose the path forward. I will present you with 3 options, each with different consequences for humanity. The first option appeared on the screen, showing Earth and the route back to human space. You can return to Earth with the ship and its technology. This would accelerate human development by centuries, but also risk the wars and conflicts we have discussed. Jake studied the implications. Advanced technology in the hands of Earth's governments could end poverty and disease, but it could also enable the worst tyrannies in human history. The second option showed the star charts of human colonies already established in distant space. You can join the colonists already exploring the galaxy. Use the ship to support their work and gradually expand humanity's presence among the stars, while leaving Earth to develop naturally. This option appealed to Jake's sense of adventure. but it felt like abandoning the billions of people still living on Earth. The third option was more complex, showing a timeline stretching over decades. You can become humanity's secret guardian. Use the ship to watch over Earth from a distance, protecting the planet from threats while allowing natural social and technological progress. When humanity proves ready, reveal the truth and offer them a place in the galactic community. Jake walked around the bridge again, considering each choice. All three had risks and benefits. All three would change his life completely. How long do I have to decide? He asked. Time is not a factor, Newton replied. But you should know that other species are watching humanity with interest. Some are friendly, but others see humans as a potential threat. Your choice may determine whether first contact happens peacefully or violently. Dr. Williams showed Jake additional information about the galactic situation. Humans had made a good impression on several alien species, but others were concerned about humanity's history of warfare and environmental destruction. The Builder's test isn't just about advanced technology, she explained. It's about proving that a species can grow beyond its violent origins and become a positive force in the galaxy. Jake thought about his own experiences. His time in the military had shown him the worst of human nature, but his years as a salvage operator had shown him the best. People helping each other, working together to recover from disasters and build better lives. The humans already out there among the stars, Jake said. How are they doing? Newton showed him reports from the various colonies. Humans were adapting well to life on alien worlds, forming partnerships with other species, contributing to scientific discoveries and cultural exchange. But they were a tiny population compared to Earth's billions. They represent humanity at its best, Newton said. But they are not representative of the species as a whole. Earth still struggles with war, poverty, environmental destruction, and social inequality. Jake realized the test wasn't just about him. It was about humanity's potential for growth and change. The choice he made would either accelerate that growth or give it time to happen naturally. What would Dr. Carter have chosen? Jake asked. Dr. Williams looked sad. Helen believed humanity needed more time to mature. She thought revealing the technology too early would do more harm than good. But she also believed in human potential. She thought we could become worthy of a place among the stars. Jake looked at the star charts one more time, seeing the vast scope of the galaxy and humanity's small place within it. The weight of the decision was enormous, but he realized he had already made his choice. Jake stood at the center of the Horizon's Edge bridge, looking at the three paths laid out before him. The weight of choosing humanity's future pressed down on his shoulders, but his decision was becoming clear. I choose the third option, he said finally. Humanity's secret guardian. Dr. Williams smiled with approval. Helen would have made the same choice. Newton's response came with what Jake could swear was relief in the artificial voice. That choice shows wisdom beyond your years, Jake Harrison. You understand that true strength comes from protecting others, not conquering them. The view screens around the bridge came alive with new information. Star charts showing potential threats to Earth. Communication frequencies for the human colonies already exploring the galaxy, and protocols for making contact with alien species. Your first mission will be to establish contact with the colonies, Newton explained. They have been waiting 3 years for news from home. Then you will need to position the ship to monitor potential threats to Earth. Jake studied the mission parameters. The work would be dangerous and lonely, but it felt right. He had spent his adult life helping people in trouble. This was just helping on a larger scale. What about Dr. Williams and the others? Jake asked. We've been waiting for this day for 3 years, she replied. Dr. Martinez wants to join the scientific colony on Kepler 442b. Dr. Kim has requested assignment to the exploration team mapping the Andromeda Galaxy. I plan to return to Earth and resume my research, keeping watch for signs that humanity is ready for the truth. Newton began initializing the ship's systems. Jake felt a subtle vibration through the deck as the quantum drive powered up. The ship is ready for departure. Dr. Williams and her colleagues will transfer to your old vessel for their return journeys. Jake thought about his small salvage ship, the Wanderer. It had been his home for 12 years, but it seemed impossibly tiny compared to the Horizon's Edge. What should I tell people about what happened to Luna Base 7? The truth, as far as it goes, Dr. Williams said. The colony was abandoned after the discovery of unusual mineral deposits. The official investigation will find evidence of a mining accident that made the base uninhabitable. The cover story has already been prepared. Over the next several hours, Jake learned to operate the Horizon's Edge's basic systems. The ship's controls were intuitive, designed to work with human minds in ways that felt natural. Newton provided guidance and assistance, but Jake found he could understand most functions instinctively. The 3 remaining colonists gathered their personal belongings and prepared to leave. Dr. Martinez was excited about rejoining his research team. Dr. Kim looked forward to exploring unknown regions of space. Dr. Williams seemed sad to leave but determined to continue her work on Earth, remember, she told Jake before boarding the shuttle to his old ship. You're not abandoning humanity. You're giving us time to become worthy of the gift the builders left for us. Jake watched from the bridge as the shuttle carrying the 3 scientists departed the underground hangar. They would return to Luna Base 7, then take his old ship back to Earth with their cover story. Jake would remain hidden beneath the lunar surface until it was safe to depart. Are you ready for your first journey to the stars? Newton asked. Jake looked at the star charts showing the location of the nearest human colony. It was 47 light-years from Earth, a distance that would have taken centuries to cross with conventional technology. The Horizon's Edge could make the trip in 18 hours. I'm ready, Jake said. The departure was unlike anything Jake had ever experienced. The quantum drive didn't produce thrust or acceleration in any normal sense. Instead, it seemed to fold space around the ship, moving them through dimensions Jake couldn't perceive. One moment they were beneath the lunar surface, the next they were racing between stars at impossible speeds. The human colony at Wolf 1061c appeared on the view screen as they approached. Jake saw orbital stations, surface settlements, and ships unlike any human design he knew. The colonists had been busy in their 3 years of isolation. Incoming transmission, Newton reported. The main screen showed a woman's face, middle-aged with silver hair and intelligent eyes. She wore a uniform Jake didn't recognize, with symbols that looked like they might represent different alien species. Unknown vessel. This is Colony Director Lisa Hayes. Please identify yourself and state your intentions. Jake activated the communication system. Director Hayes, this is Jake Harrison aboard the Horizon's Edge. I'm carrying messages from Dr. Helen Carter and the Luna Base 7 team. The woman's expression changed from suspicion to amazement. The Horizon's Edge? You're the Guardian ship? We've been waiting for you for years. Jake found himself welcomed as a hero by the colonists. They had grown from the original 23 scientists to a thriving community of over 200 people, working alongside 3 different alien species. The colony was everything Jake had hoped humanity could become among the stars. Director Hayes introduced him to the Karani, a species of tall, graceful beings who communicated through complex patterns of light displayed on their skin. The Thek were small, furry creatures with remarkable engineering skills. The Valdris resembled humans but with metallic skin that changed color with their emotions. These species have become our teachers and partners, Director Hayes explained as they toured the colony. They've shown us technologies and philosophies we never imagined, but more importantly, they've shown us that cooperation works better than competition. Jake spent several days at the colony, learning about the work being done there. The humans and aliens were collaborating on projects to heal damaged worlds, develop clean energy sources, and create technologies that enhanced life instead of destroying it. This is what Earth could become, Jake told Newton as they prepared to depart for the next colony. In time, the ship's intelligence agreed. But first, humanity must learn the lessons these colonists have learned. That will take years, perhaps decades. Jake sent a message to Earth using conventional radio, timed to arrive long after he had departed the system. The message was simple. Jake Harrison had investigated Luna Base 7 and found it abandoned due to a mining accident. His salvage operation had been unsuccessful. He was returning to Earth and would file a full report upon arrival, but Jake wasn't returning to Earth. Not yet. The Horizon's Edge turned toward the next human colony, and the next, carrying messages and supplies to the brave explorers who had chosen to build humanity's future among the stars. Months passed as Jake traveled between colonies, learning about the work being done in humanity's name. Each settlement had developed its own relationship with local alien species, creating a network of friendship and cooperation that spanned dozens of star systems. Jake also encountered the threats Newton had warned him about. hostile alien species that saw young civilizations as potential competitors or slaves, space pirates who preyed on developing worlds, natural disasters that could wipe out entire colonies. The horizon's edge became humanity's silent protector, intervening when necessary, but always staying hidden from Earth's knowledge. On quiet nights between missions, Jake would stand on the ship's observation deck and look out at the stars. He thought about the choice he had made and the responsibility he had accepted. He was no longer Jake Harrison, salvage operator. He was humanity's guardian, watching over both the homeworld and the children who had gone to the stars. It was exactly where he belonged.